everyone. Um, First and foremost, I would like to thank Bombay Chartered Accountants Society for inviting me to give this very short presentation in the Tax Gurukul online lecture series. I am Advocate Aarti Sajay, a tax counsel practicing in the Bombay High Court. Today I would like to talk to you all a little bit about the much hot topic of discussion, or rather a very prevalent thing which is happening in today's economy of cryptocurrencies. It remains a hot topic of discussion, and for the last several years it has been dismissed as a bubble by various pundits. In spite of that, the advent of cryptocurrencies not only in the Indian economy but worldwide has been very large. It has been so large that today financial markets world over outside India have felt the need to regulate it and maybe even to legalize it. That apart, today we are going to talk about cryptocurrencies in the Indian scenario and its likely tax implications if ever they are considered as legal tender insofar as India is concerned. Today, India does not have a robust or a perfect regulatory framework insofar as cryptocurrency is concerned. Cryptocurrency today in India remains a topic where the governments are rather circumspect about the entire cryptocurrency market, primarily because the government feels that owing to its virtual nature, it can be used for the purposes of money laundering or for the purposes of entering into transactions where there is really no source or a way to really know the actual transaction through which it comes. The reason for this being is that cryptocurrency is not regulated and does not go through banking channels. Having said that, there is not much legislation, hardly there is no legislation, and today the government of India is in the process of drafting bills for the purposes of regularizing the cryptocurrency market. There are certain exchanges which are available today in India like WazirX, etc., on which the cryptocurrency can be traded. People are indulging in cryptocurrency, but the veracity and legality rather thereof is still not sure. The only real jurisprudence that has today evolved insofar as the cryptocurrency market is concerned is that of a leading Supreme Court decision in the case of Internet Mobile Association, wherein an RBI circular was impugned or rather challenged because the RBI in that circular sought to really ban everybody dealing in cryptocurrencies or exchanges dealing in cryptocurrencies. There the Supreme Court did quash the RBI circular. However, in a very interesting note, the Supreme Court has also said that cryptocurrencies really can't be banned in India and has told the government that instead of doing a flip-flop or instead of not coming out with any stable policy for cryptocurrencies, they should come out with a law for cryptocurrencies which will enable the Indian market and the investors from outside India to really look at India as a more stable and a market-friendly environment for the purposes of dealing in cryptocurrency, because in any case, cryptocurrency market is flourishing even in India. Now, before coming to the tax implications or the likely tax implications of cryptocurrency, let's try and understand very briefly as to what is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency by its very term is a virtual method or a virtual mode of transaction or a virtual currency, meaning to say that there is nothing tangible. It is not in the form of a note or a coin or anything of that sort. There are various dictionary meanings available of cryptocurrency which are there in the Oxford Dictionary, in the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and also a technical definition has been given by the Financial Action Task Force in a report in 2013, where I would just like to read out what that report says about cryptocurrencies. Virtual currency as a digital representation of value that can be traded digitally and functioning as a medium of exchange and or a unit of account and or a store of value, but not having a legal tender status. The Financial Task Force report also defined cryptocurrency to mean a math-based, decentralized, convertible virtual currency protected by cryptography by relying on public and private keys to transfer value from one person to another and signed cryptographically each time it is transferred. So really, cryptocurrency, the way it is derived and the way it is, it's a rather complex process. Now there are two ways of getting cryptocurrency. One is proof of stake and one is proof of work. Now proof of work is a method in which, so there are a chain of computers which are really connected to each other, and in a proof of work is a method in which transactions are verified on a blockchain where an algorithm provides a mathematical problem and different computers race to solve it. These participating computers are often known as miners. Mining is a validation of transaction. Successful miners obtain new cryptocurrency as a reward. The reward decreases transaction fees by creating a complementary incentive to contribute. Some miners pool resources because really to mine this cryptocurrency and to have a network of all these computers, it is not only time consuming, but it involves huge energy resources, also manpower at the back end, and hence it is a shared process, and the miners then get the cryptocurrency, which in turn they trade it in the market. So really this is briefly as to how one gains cryptocurrency. Now if cryptocurrency had to be really be legalized or you be used as a legal tender, how will it be taxed from the Indian scenario? Now looking at the definition of income as given in the Income Tax Act, today really the income is tax is of direct taxes is really governed by the Income Tax Act 1961. Looking at the definition of income as given in section 224 of the Act, it is a section which is an inclusive section and which really doesn't define or give any specific definition as to how will money or money's worth be included for the purposes of income, because ultimately since this is a virtual currency, there is really nothing which is tangible, and hence we have to look at it as a money's worth. So it could be that it can be a definition can be changed or it can be amended to include the gains from cryptocurrency. But in the meanwhile, with the present definition of income as given in 224, let's try and look at the heads of income which are available for the purposes of computation and for the Income Tax Act. Broadly, the 5 heads of income are profits or gains of business or profession, income from house property, capital gains, salaries, and income from other sources. Cryptocurrencies definitely will not fall under salaries or income from house properties. So we will look at the other 3 heads, meaning which profits and gains of business or profession, capital gains, and income from other sources. Now if one had to tax cryptocurrency income under profits and gains of business or profession, one will have to look at it from different perspectives. The perspectives being, say if a miner is the person who's carrying on the business and he derives income from that activity, then surely well that income which he derives from the activity of cryptocurrency will be taxable as profits and gains of business and profession. As a corollary thereof, the setup which he uses, like I just explained a few seconds back, the setup which he uses, which are the computer processes or the various hashtags which are created, that could be claimed by him as capital expenditure or plant and machinery for the purposes of his business, and all other expenses which he may incur in that course of business would be taxed, he can claim it as revenue expenditure. So that is one leg of saying that income made by a miner could be miner as in the miner who derives the cryptocurrency from the process of really acquiring the cryptocurrency in his hand. Looking at that, profits and gains of business and profession will be the heading under which a miner's income could be taxable insofar as cryptocurrency income is concerned. Then we come to the other aspect or the other head of income, meaning which what it means to have capital gains. Now here, if a person says that the cryptocurrency that they hold, because how is a capital asset defined insofar as the Income Tax Act is concerned? Capital asset by its very definition means includes property of any kind held by a person, whether or not connected with his business or profession. The term property, though has no statutory meaning, yet it signifies every possible interest which a person can acquire, hold or enjoy. Going by the above definition, a cryptocurrency can be held to be an interest that the person acquires or enjoys in a property. A cryptocurrency would therefore fall under the definition of capital asset as defined under the Act. Once that is established, then whether to tax it as a capital gain or as a business income would really depend on the nature of holding. So, how should a nature of holding be really determined? Now, nature of holding typically would be decided. The tax treatment of the same will depend on the frequency of transactions and whether the same is held as a stock in trade or as an investment. The parallel could be loosely drawn to whether the activity of trading in shares is a business or investment, and for that we have a lot of case law. Circulars have been issued from time to time which really determine that when you are trading in the business of shares, then the period of holding, the nature of holding really determines whether that trading is in the form of capital gains or profits of business and profession. So, if the cryptocurrency is treated in the same manner and is held as stock in trade, and the person holding it trades in them regularly, then the gains made from it can be taxed as a business income. Hence, a person could be involved in the business of trading in cryptocurrency and the gains made therefrom could be taxed as business income. It is also relevant to note here that there could be a possibility that there could be a trading of currency future. Trading in cryptocurrency futures could also be considered as a speculative transaction as envisaged by section 43(5) of the Act, as the definition of the word commodity could be construed to be of a wide enough import to contain cryptocurrencies within its fold. On the other hand, if a person holds the same as investments and the frequency of transactions is not regular, then the gain from the same will be taxed under the head capital gains, as the same is a capital asset involving transfer and gains on the same are made. If the cryptocurrency is held by a person for less than 36 months, then the gain therefrom will be taxed as a short-term capital gain, and if it is held for more than 36 months, then it is going to be taxed as a long-term capital gain. In the absence of specific guidelines from the CBDT as available in the share trading activity, it is the general principles of period of holding, frequency of trading, size of holding, as well as the treatment in the books of accounts that shall be relevant for the purposes of establishing whether the gain from the sale of cryptocurrency shall be assessed as business income or as capital gains. There can be no one-size-fits-all formula. There is one view which can be considered, which is, will a cryptocurrency be considered as a self-generated asset that does not have a cost of acquisition? This would especially be a view taken by those miners who hold the cryptocurrency as investments and long-term assets and not as stock in trade. The Supreme Court in the case of CIT versus BC Srinivasa Shetty dealt with the issue of goodwill generated in a new business. It was held that for the purposes of capital gains, what is contemplated is an asset in the acquisition of which it is possible to envisage a cost. However, the nature of goodwill being fundamentally different from the nature and manufacturing process of cryptocurrency, because generation of cryptocurrency is not automatic and is a deliberate process, it would be difficult to stretch the ratio of BC Srinivasa Shetty to the sale of cryptocurrency held as an investment. So this is insofar as if the cryptocurrency were to be taxed under the head capital gains. So first we spoke of business income, then we spoke of capital gains, and the third likelihood as far as the heads of income is concerned could be income from other sources. Section 56(1)(b), because like I told you, cryptocurrency being a very virtual economy or a virtual currency, it all depends on how really the markets influence it. It is not regulated by RBI, there is no banking channel available to it, so it is a highly volatile industry. And as a result thereof, we tried to look at the definition of income from other sources, section 56(1)(b), which makes any winnings from lotteries, crossword puzzles, races, including horse races, card games and other games of any sort, or from gambling or betting of any form or nature whatsoever, as an income from other source. It is no news that cryptocurrency is highly volatile in nature. Just like fiat currency, it is not backed by any asset or currency. Therefore, it is valued at what investors are willing to pay for it, which means its price can be easily swayed. Now, to give you all an example as to how the price can be swayed and the idea of volatility, Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, and a supporter of cryptocurrency, has influenced the value of Bitcoin and others. So Bitcoin is really one of the cryptocurrencies. There are various cryptocurrencies available, but Bitcoin at this point of time is the most prevalent cryptocurrency in the market. Coming back to Elon Musk, who's a big supporter of Bitcoin, has on more than one occasion, just by tweeting about them, so much so that the internet started calling it the Musk effect too. On a similar note, another cryptocurrency named Dogecoin was created as a joke in 2013 based on the then popular dog meme that portrays a Shibuya dog alongside multicolored text in comic form. So really, whoever gives credence to the Bitcoin industry, because of that, the volatility or the price or the value of the cryptocurrency really jumps up. And because Elon Musk gave a credibility to the Bitcoin industry, there are reports which show that the Bitcoin gained almost 800%, whereas Ethereum, which is also a kind of cryptocurrency, gained up to 1,242% till date. So looking at the volatility and looking at the complete game of chance which the cryptocurrency industry really provides today, there is a large possibility that the tax authorities could even look at it as income from other sources and tax it as a winning from a lottery or a puzzle or any kind of game. That is a third aspect. Other aspects also need to be considered insofar as taxation is concerned, as to the tedious provisions which may get attracted, the other provisions which may get attracted, because mining can happen at various, so it's not necessary that the miner or the exchange on which it is really traded and the ultimate consumer will be in the same jurisdiction. There could be multi-jurisdictional issues which may come up. So there could be a miner sitting in, say, America, the exchange could be in India, and the ultimate customer could be again in India or in some other countries. There, one will have to look at relevant multilateral treaties and DTAs to really see what the tax implications are. That is one aspect, because the situs may not necessarily be decisive of the actual consumption and how the income will be taxed in the hands of all these levels. That is the miner, the currency exchange, like a stockbroker, the exchange which really enables the trading of cryptocurrency, and the actual customer. Because a lot of people indulge in cryptocurrency as a hobby, sometimes as an investment, sometimes as business. So DTA provisions are also likely to be kicked in. Another interesting aspect would be of that of equalization levy kind of levy, which may be there imposed insofar as cryptocurrency is concerned. How was equalization levy really introduced? Equalization levy was introduced on MNCs which did not have a permanent establishment in India, like the advertising world or the biggies like Google, Yahoo, etc., who really used to advertise big products, big things on the internet, but they did not have a permanent establishment in India, and as a result thereof, the business income which they really made could not be attributed to any PE in India, and therefore the income which they made from their activities pretty much used to go tax. Hence, an equalization levy was introduced of 6%, I think now it is reduced to 2%, to tax MNCs who did not have a PE in India and to bring them to a level playing field insofar as MNCs who had a PE as opposed to MNCs who do not have a PE. Similar kind of levy could also be considered for the cryptocurrency market, because ultimately the miner may not have a PE in India, or the exchange currency or the platform will not be treated as his PE in India, and hence his income, the miner's income, may go tax free, and an equalization levy kind of levy could also be kicked in. These are some of the possibilities of taxation insofar as cryptocurrency is concerned. This, however, is subject to the fact that if cryptocurrency is ever made legal tender in India. Let's face it, India today is not shy of really dealing in the cryptocurrency market. There is a parallel cryptocurrency market going on, but it needs the imprimatur of the government, it needs the imprimatur of the regulatory bodies to really bring it in the tax net or to bring it in the taxing channel, in the banking channels available. I hope this video has helped you to understand the possible tax implications of cryptocurrencies. Thank you.